Hi, welcome to Race House with me, Joe Lee.
And me, Darren Reeves.
Oh, it's been ages since we've seen a race, and it's the post-summer break. We've had 4 weeks off. Darren, I mean, it's been too long without an F1, a bit of action. I bet you were happy to see the Dutch Grand Prix roar into this weekend.
Well, mate, I absolutely love Formula One weekends, and I've been looking forward to it for what feels like an eternity. You know, we had race after race after race at the start of the season, and then, it went right up to Silverstone. And then we had sort of 2 weekends off, and then we had the Belgium Grand Prix, which I attended in Hungary the following week.
Mhm.
Then we had another 3 weekends off, and it's been really stop start actually since Silverstone, and I've been moaning that they're all coming thick and fast, and now I'm moaning that there's not enough of them. So I'm never going to be happy, am I? Unless I'm sat there in front of my TV or in front of a racetrack, next to a racetrack, watching Formula One. It's been a great weekend.
Yeah, and we had some Dutch friends who were over at the Dutch Grand Prix who soaked up. The weather was a bit on and off. They thought they might get away with it, but it turned into a bit of a wet one. It was kind of on and off. It was patchy, I think, is the best way
Well,
to
do you know
describe
what?
it.
It never really, the weather during the race never amounted to what they thought it was going to be. And
No.
if you remember a couple of years ago, there were proper deluges and chaos at the Dutch Grand Prix. I remember attending the first one in 2021 of this generation for Max and see Max win. It was a stunning weekend by the beach, mate. I walked to the track along the beach every morning, and it's a wonderful venue for Formula One. But sadly, this is the penultimate one before it all stops again.
I didn't know if it was the last one or penultimate. Yeah,
No, they've
wow.
got next year. Is this lining up with Max's career? I'm not quite sure, but but it's a shame. But it's just such a small venue. They can only get 100,000 people in over the weekend. I think it's so tight between the sand dunes and the access and the parking, and it's beautiful, but it needs better access, really. And I
Mm.
think that's why I love the undulations on the track and the banking corners.
Banking
It's
is
it,
so good.
it's brilliant, mate. And we've seen some trouble on turn three this weekend. But Joe, I've said it's been a brilliant weekend, and I loved it. I actually. I hated what happened actually in the race.
Which bit?
Well, first of all, really watching Hamilton go out wide on turn three, and it was a bit slippery with a little splattering of spitty rain, and losing it, mate, and crashing into the barriers. That's not the Hamilton we know, the most experienced, most successful racing driver of all time. Just goes off and slips and crashes into a barrier in the Ferrari. And gets a penalty for not slowing down under double waved yellows. What's going on with Hamilton, Joe? What's going on
Maybe he's lost a bit of the zoom. Yeah, he's got a penalty, 5 grid penalty for Monza, which is the next race.
next week?
Um, his heart is his heart in it still. I mean, this is not the season he thought he'd have. I mean, he's not even beaten Charles Leclerc.
No.
His performance has been very lackluster.
His move to Ferrari came as a massive shock to everybody before the 2024 season started. And the fact that Ferrari could have won the championship in 2024 at Abu Dhabi but didn't, it looked like he was making the right move. But Mercedes and Ferrari have just been so underwhelming this season.
Mercedes are
On
really bad as
every
well. Oh God.
Yeah, that he's just moved sideways.
Yeah.
So staying at Mercedes would have been the same as moving at Ferrari, going to Ferrari, but you've got to take chances, you've got to take risks. We are watching Lewis Hamilton wait for 2026. I think if the regulations weren't changing, I think he'd have probably jacked it in by now, as would have Alonso. But both of them are treading water whilst we watch the battle of the McLarens for 2025 take place. They're treading water because who knows what's going to happen next year. But first of all, seeing Hamilton crash out and then Norris with a DNF. Oh man, when was the last time we saw a McLaren have a technical failure? And I think Piastri was going to win that race, whatever. So
Yeah.
for Lando to lose 18 points for second place, for Piastri to get the full 25, which I think he was going to get anyway. But the combination of what happened in Canada, where Lando was going to basically finish fifth for 10 points, and now the combination of this DNF. Whereas Piastri is going from strength to strength to strength. He was unstoppable this weekend, and Norris now 34 points behind with 9 races to go. It was a disaster for British motorsport fans.
It was, and very strange, as you said, to see that engine burn out. You just can't keep going. But also, what was unlucky is that they were going to replace the engine in Italy in the next race.
Yeah.
And if they had done it one race sooner, it could have been a different beast. But these engines run so hot and so hard. Yeah, I mean, you can see it on the faces on the pit wall. Zach Brown and co.
Yeah.
Just devastating. It's not the result they wanted to have. They could have had another 1-2 in the bag. But yeah, it didn't happen. But then the podium changed. So we had Max finish second, and then third. Who was on the podium?
Well, Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bull, the rookie that's coming, who didn't even have a race driver. It was the last seat to be filled for 2025. He came from Formula 2. He's driven immaculately in that Racing Bull. We all know that the other drivers, Lawson and Tsunoda, that have driven in that team this season, have really struggled in the main Red Bull seat. There's always talk of should Hadjar be promoted into it. Right now, it's the last thing Hadjar would want. It's too soon in his career. Get out there, drive your car brilliantly. Lawson had an average race. Tsunoda finished 9th, average again for that car. That car, if Max can put it second, and be constantly there and thereabouts pushing the McLarens, it's just horrible. Hadjar is doing an amazing job in his rookie season with continuity, race after race after race, and he's definitely rookie of the season. I thought we would see it with Antonelli in the Mercedes being a better car, but we're not.
Yeah, it's not a season for the rookies, but Hadjar, I mean, look, we always thought Liam Lawson would be able to really climb up there, but it just shows that Hadjar can get up there in that car, so they've got great cars, these guys. Is it down to the drivers? Are these cars that much different? Is the gap that much different? For Hadjar to be in front of the Ferraris, yes, they did DNFs, but to be in front of the Mercedes, it's a surprising result.
Performance-wise, Joe, these cars are closer than they've ever been. I know McLaren are out front at the moment, and under these regulations, it's been a Red Bull era with Max over the last 4 years. But what this happens with every regulation change. We're now in year 4 of these regulations, and we've seen them get closer and closer and closer in times. And when you watch qualifying and how close everybody is, especially in that top 10, I remember watching pre-qualifying where cars were 7 or 8 seconds slower than pole position.
Yeah.
And we're seeing everybody within a second, basically, a second to a second and a half. It's so close that
it's working.
Every given track and race, it's going to be different. And this is why Ferrari and Mercedes are struggling, and the second Red Bull car, to be there in the top 4, or the top 8, sorry, because 2 cars in each one, every time. But we've got Hadjar driving the socks off the Racing Bull. We've got Verstappen driving the socks off the Red Bull. My God, come on, put Verstappen in the Racing Bull for a race. Come on, put him up against Hadjar.
Well, yeah, exactly. Let's have a race off. But look at other performances. Look at Albon. Stunning 5th place for him and the Williams. Again, these cars, they're not as. A few seasons ago, it was Lewis. Massive gap, and then the rest of the pack in different measures. But now you've got Williams up there. You've got Racing Bulls. It's just exciting.
Well, I think the Williams pairing of Albon and Sainz this season is a fantastic pairing that we haven't seen in Williams for 20 years. I can go back to Montoya and Ralf Schumacher in the early 2000s, and we can talk Villeneuve and Hill. But we've seen nothing of this level for Williams for a very, very long time. And I really, really thought Carlos Sainz would come from Ferrari and give Albon a run for his money. But Albon is really showing that car suits him, and Carlos is in a learning year of a new team with a new car. Albon has had some fantastic drives and really consistent. Carlos has been really unlucky for me in that car, and to get a penalty of 10 seconds for his collision with Lawson when I didn't even think it was Sainz's fault, nor did Sainz. He demanded to see the stewards afterwards. I actually don't know whether he did see the stewards afterwards or just took the penalty and moved on, because he wasn't in for any points after that collision. I feel really sorry for him, because I think Sainz has had a brilliant career at McLaren, a brilliant career at Ferrari. Was really unlucky to lose his seat. Probably feels a bit hard done by, and is struggling to match Albon and Albon's consistency.
I thought he was great in the Ferrari last season. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's having that axe over your head. You know, sometimes it gets the performance out of you.
Well,
But
he was driving for his career, wasn't he, rather than just for Ferrari. But yeah, I feel sorry for Sainz again. The luck's not gone his way. Albon is just so Mr. Consistent. I think he's proving that he deserved that Red Bull drive. It just came too early in his career. Williams are progressing and looking good. I can't wait to see what they do next year. And currently, they're really firmly in 5th place in the Constructors' Championship.
it's a brilliant result for them. We've got so much love for Williams, actually. Oliver Bearman, I mean, he had a decent race, didn't he?
Well, do you know what? When you look at the driver standings, he's right down there, and he's in his rookie season as well. British driver, so we follow him, we love him. In one of the worst cars with Haas, but then sometimes the Haas does well, and Ocon's had some good results this season. But for me, this is Bearman's best result of his career. But to come from the pit lane and do it by not coming in under the safety cars. They used those hard tyres from the beginning of the race, pushed them through the safety car periods, waited for that final safety that safety car and put on the mediums or soft, I can't remember. But to me, Bearman's best drive so far in an average car. To finish 6th. He had 7th, do you remember, in Saudi when he deputised for Sainz in the Ferrari last year? So to put the Haas 6th, he's showing progress for me. He's showing good. I wouldn't rule out Bearman one day driving a Ferrari. He's come through those ranks of Ferrari. He's he's got to do well. His teammate Ocon, who came 10th, so double points finish for Haas. I'm fed up with him, mate. I'll be honest with you. Not many people like him. He fell out with Gasly at Alpine. To me, he's got experience, but there's nothing exciting. For me, Bearman's the man coming up in Haas, and Ocon's the one drifting off, really. I don't know if they've confirmed their lineup for 2026 or not, actually. But
do you think
brilliant?
Do you think Colapinto's a better match for Gasly than the Alpine?
No. I think there's a real problem at Alpine right now. I don't think Colapinto's done anything more than Doohan in that car. They're both the two drivers on 0 points in the standings. I think Doohan was hard done by, being thrown out after 6 races. Colapinto's now been in for 9 races now. Why don't we just throw Doohan back in and see what he does? There's nothing. I can only put it down to investment. Mick Doohan, Jack's dad, former motorbike world champion. Is it his money that's paid for his son to come in the same way as Lawrence Stroll and various others, as I do with my son? Or is it, the Argentinian government's money that is keeping Colapinto in that car? He came in last year at Williams, had a couple of good results early on, then he did a massive crash and in Brazil, and a couple of others he's had as well. Does he deserve that drive? No more than Jack Doohan deserves another chance. Disappointing.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It is disappointing. Also, I'm not really seeing the hunger and the fire from Gasly. Whenever I see him kind of walking around or doing the media stuff, I just feel like he kind of clocks in and out of work. I don't know. I get the feeling that he's just clocking in. He goes, I'm not going to win a race, so I might as well turn up. And we've got 2 drivers, so.
Ever since you and I had breakfast at the St. Regis Abu Dhabi with Gasly, mate, then
well, it wasn't quite with Gasly. I mean, we didn't share any Cocoa Pops or anything.
I'm joking.
We were outside the entrance waiting for our car to come round, and he popped out and jumped into a wagon. I don't know if I even said hi to him. I think he just literally ran out that quickly with his stunning girlfriend.
We noticed his girlfriend before we noticed him. But
No
no,
comment.
fun and games. But you know, when you do get to see drivers in the flesh or meet them, whether it's getting their autograph or even doing an interview with them, where you do feel a connection somehow, somewhere. You know, they see fans every day of the year, but for fans to meet their drivers and just any Formula One driver is a joy. So I root for Gasly, another driver like Albon who was in a Red Bull too early in his career.
Yes,
I
he came
I
up
think.
through the academy,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah, and he won remember he won Monza in the Toro Rosso, or was it race? No, what was it called then? Alpha Tauri.
AlphaTauri.
Yeah, yeah. You got to remember he's a race winner. Be there at the right time, in the right place, and I actually think that Gasly's fine. I think he's clearly the number one driver in that team. But Alpine are in total turmoil. Bringing Rory McIlroy in and Ryan Reynolds and celebrityism into the ownership thing. Getting Ollie Oakes left. I thought he was a good appointment to run that team, but Flavio's come in again and thrown his weight around and is there puffing his chest out. The team's in turmoil, Joe, and Gasly he's just got to get on head down and just drive that car to the best result he can deliver. But I'm just looking at, where was he, 17th, and Colapinto.
Yeah.
Colapinto was 11th actually, one place off actually scoring a point. Whether that was down to strategy and safety cars happening, I'm not really sure. I just don't remember ever even seeing them in the race yesterday, mate. They're just in this oblivious world of 2025.
They're invisible. Yeah, they're just. I just feel like they're making up numbers. But yeah, I mean, so that's surprising. Ricardo Pinto 11th. I mean, that's a good result for him. Shame we didn't get the points, but they should be doing better. This is a big team. It's basically Renault. I mean, it's a manufacturer.
Yes,
they've got tons of resources. They've got technology up the wazoo. And they've got Briatore in charge. I mean, Christ, come on. The guy who's given a lifetime ban, come on.
Yeah, 2026 is going to see an engine change, though. So the Renault are stopping. They're putting all their energies into electric engines, from what I understand. So that's why they're pulling back, and that's why they've named it Alpine. It's all these decisions. So I'm not quite sure which engine is going into the Alpine. I don't know if it's... No, I don't know. But they're having a different engine. So the Renault links are just getting further and further away from Alpine. I'm almost... I can't... you sort of just think it's Flavio's team now, really, with somebody else paying for it, because, he's probably got so much money he doesn't want to spend. I don't know.
We don't know. We're speculating, and I'm sure
it's
he's great.
Turmoil. It's just turmoil, and it's Flavio's team.
It's not translating to performance on the track.
Nothing.
If it was, his reign, and he's running it his way, and they're getting points, then you justify it. It's the same as everything else. But then look at Williams. Look at James Voles. What he's done.
What an understated leader that man is being.
Real model for leadership.
Yeah,
I really like him.
Yeah,
Toto's kind of similar. I think is that calm, discipline.
He's learned his trade from Toto.
Yeah.
At Mercedes, but he is the technical geek, isn't he? He really has that way about him that. Actually, like I still love the fact when they did the launch of the cars and Jack Whitehall called him Jimmy V, and tried to make him cool, in a very comedy funny way, has endeared people to him and to his ways, and he's getting better and better at media, better and better at talking to people, and I think everybody loves Williams right now. And to me, that's my team from back in the day. Nigel Mansell and Riccardo Patrese, the 1992 Silverstone Grand Prix, mate, was my first one there, seeing Mansell win his championship not long after that in Hungary.
And I might talk about Mansell. He's actually doing a tour at the moment.
Yes.
Where you can also go do a meet and greet with the legend himself. And I've just been invited to a dinner up in London for a charity, UK Youth, I think it's called. And Nigel is... the patron chairman of it. So I'm going to have dinner up there. And
amazing.
Meet Nigel, and I'll tell him about the podcast. We'll try and get him on.
Mate, he's an absolute legend in my eyes, and what really drew me to the sport in the late 80s watching the legends of Prost, Senna, Piquet, and Mansell, and he called the Lion, wasn't he, or something like that? And he went to Ferrari, similar to Hamilton, to go and win a championship, but that didn't happen. Came back to Williams to then win his one and only championship, mate. So I met him.
He
once.
only won one world championship.
Yeah, 92. I met him in
Go ahead,
2006. Bob Constanduris, the commentator at the races, invited me along to something called Grand Prix Masters at Silverstone. So me and my wife went along, and I actually met him in the toilets. And because I'd managed to wash my hands and dry them first, I actually said that's the only time I'm ever going to beat a world champion at something. So we had a bit of a laugh about it. He won't remember it, Joe.
I will jog his memory. Did you remember that time in the bathrooms? Where was that? In the BR?
It wasn't in the BRDC. It was actually
BRDC.
it was actually upstairs above the pit garages, the old pit
Okay.
garages
The old
at
pit garages.
Silverstone. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The
Okay,
International Straight. No, what straight is it called up there now? The old pit straight. Anyway,
Hamilton.
that'll do.
Oh, the old
no,
one.
that's the new one.
Okay, I know what you mean.
And, yeah, doesn't matter.
We'll check it out. I'll go and follow Nigel Mansell into the toilet and just see what happens.
Don't do that.
Talking of following up, this has been some big news, but I think it's the worst kept secret in F1 news. We talked about this last year on the podcast. Who could possibly drive for Cadillac? And they're coming in. It was the Andretti bid, but now Cadillac is the name. They are going to be based in the UK while they're building their new place in Indiana. And they have lumped for experience over fresh blood and over American drivers. So they have gone with Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. I think it's a sensible start for them in F1, having drivers that are experienced, who know how to work with the teams, who know how to drive those kind of cars, and who kind of knows everyone else. It's going to help them plug in, have that soft landing for a couple of years, and then they'll start to bring in that new blood. Do you agree with that?
Well, I've got to say, my initial instinct is well done, Valtteri, to get back on another drive. And again, as you know, Joe, I got to meet him in a restaurant in Monaco day after the race. Got to shake his hand. It was very nice. So another connection.
I've met him too at Silverstone. Very nice.
Perfect. And
It's quite
well
short.
done. Well, a lot of them are, mate. Little jockeys.
Compared to me, they are jockeys.
Well, that's it, yeah. And Sergio Perez to get another chance. I remember him being at Racing Point, having been a race winner in Bahrain, to then have no drive, but then to win that Red Bull seat and to be a race winner with multiple race winner with Red Bull, to then lose his seat, to now get another chance. Well done to the both of them, but there's also a bit of disappointment that we're not getting some fresh blood. There's also a bit of me that goes, it's the first team I've ever seen with two number 2 drivers.
Yeah, who's going to be number 1?
Yeah, right. So that'd be interesting, actually, to see which one steps up to the plate. But, there's a bit of me that thinks I can't believe they didn't give it to Brad Pitt.
He did so well, didn't he? I watched it again, actually, last week. That was my second time. It was better. I liked it.
Mate, I've watched it twice as well. I took my kids to the cinema. So I've done 2 cinema trips.
Okay.
But it's also just come out on Apple TV as well. So
yeah, that's what's right.
And so that could happen this
week. The sequel could be F2.
Yes, I know.
But how about this? Tom Cruise was at the premiere with Brad Pitt. What if it's Sonny Hayes versus Cole Trickle from Days of Thunder?
Well, mate, we like
that would be cool. Days of F1.
I was expecting you to call it. Was it Top Gear Maverick? They've called it, haven't they? Something like that. There's a whole list of things.
F1 Maverick or something.
Yeah, lots of things. I think that for moviegoers.
No, we're not talking about the film. We're talking about Sonny Hayes should be in the car for Cadillac.
Correct. I know.
So let's get back to Cadillac.
But perhaps Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt could have been the lineup. I just think there's something slightly. It's too sensible and zero risk, and that goes against really. I was expecting to see Colton Herta be one of the drivers there with the American link, but you're right. They've gone.
What about Logan Sargent?
Well, I've got to be honest with you. No, mate. No.
Well, he's American. I mean,
he's
not.
I know. What about Trump? Could he get in there in one of those, squeeze into one
it
of
would
those
be
cars?
Huge. Absolutely huge. Yeah.
have an orange car. Is it going to be a pink Cadillac? There's another question for you. What are we
Pink
going to
Cadillac.
see on
Well,
the livery?
Alpine's pink still, aren't they? I don't know why.
Well,
I'm not a big fan of that. But
BWT sponsorship, I think.
the water, aren't they? But they could be blue. They do a blue logo, BWT. Do you know what? I do like the yellow and black. Uh,
Well, it's in
of the
in
Renault.
Jordan. But, Renault cars, of course, yeah, in Jordan
Yeah.
back in the 90s.
I think that would really stand out. That'd be quite cool.
I love standout colours, and I've got to be honest with you. Even just watching sometimes in the sunshine, the cars. I don't know if it's my eyesight, but don't stand out. So I'm like, there. Hold on, was that the Aston Martin with a sort of British racing green, or was that the Mercedes with its sort of grey black colour? Sometimes they don't stand out, but when you've got primary colours that stand out, like the red,
Papaya.
papaya stands out, exactly that. And Aston Martin could be Dayglow green, like Kick Sauber have been. These colours stand out. Let's have a bright orange. Who was orange back in the day? There was an orange car, wasn't there? I can see it, but I can't remember who had that sponsorship. Black and orange. There we are. Call in. Let us know. We can't. We're not going live, are we, Joe? So
we are live actually. Yeah.
We are live. Oh, we are. We are live.
So,
okay, so if there's anybody listening in and has mine or Joe's number, text me with. But I'll look it up. Orange.
we actually we have some live viewers. Skith actually has sent in a question. Guys, do you think Lewis is finished?
Well, I did mention it earlier. I think Lewis is treading water, waiting for 2026. If the regulations weren't there it is, Joe. Well done, mate. Skith. I think let's see what happens in 2026, but. If he has a start to 2026 that he's had for 2025 with that amount of disappointment in that Ferrari car, I think we could see something happen quite early on in the season if one of the other teams runs away with it, which could be Aston Martin, it could be McLaren, it could be Red Bull, it could be Mercedes. But if it's not Ferrari, I think that's the point where questions are going to be.
He's got a 2-year contract, hasn't he, Lewis?
Well,
Ferrari?
it's money. That's only money, though, mate. It's only money. Just give him the money, move on, don't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Perez had a 2-year contract, mate.
Oh, he's had a lovely time, isn't he? He's had a lovely time just chilling. I mean, how old is Alonso now?
Is he 4? He's going to be 45 next year, isn't he? Racing at 45, and
so Lewis could go another 4 years.
Yeah, could do. And I'd say Lewis is probably fitter than Alonso, and that's just alleged. I don't sit there studying their fitness. But Lewis seems to be in peak fitness for somebody in their 40s. Fernando always, to me, looks like a little bit of an older version of the young Fernando that never looked in prime athletic shape. In the way that Nigel Mansell never did or James Hunt never did. And it's a different world. We now have peak athletes at the height of their fitness.
But it's not just being an athlete. It's about, you think about tennis and you think like, okay, you have to be a great athlete, but then you need to have a decent racket. But you don't think about the racket being that integral to the thing. It's about the player. Well, you could be a peak athlete in F1, but if the car is not up to scratch or it's not configured correctly for the track with the weather and all the ambient and everything and downforce, etc., then you're hiding to nothing. So it really is the strange sport where I can't think of another sport really like it off the top of my head, where it's this symbiosis of human and machine. And then like at the end of F1, the movie, then you're flying once you kind of become one with the car. We've seen that. I always think about Lewis at Brazil, in 2021. He was absolutely flying. He was just like, it was unbelievable. I think that's one of the best races I've ever seen. Certainly,
it was phenomenal how the amount of penalties that he had in that race and coming from the back and coming through with the sprint race and just so.
But he's got the skill, so he still has the skill. And Skith, thank you for bringing up about Lewis. He still has the skill. It looks like he still has the drive, but maybe it's the car then. Maybe there's something not right at Ferrari.
Everybody's always said the best drivers attract the best cars and the best contracts, and but it's all got to come together, hasn't it, in a very David Brent way? But and that's the problem. It's not quite come together.
Yeah, not come together, but coming together. This is a great little link. You can tell that we do presenting for a living. Well, we do have a question actually. Skith is in the zone.
We're loving
Okay,
it, Skith.
let's put this up. Does Lando have any chance of a comeback? Oscar looks awfully locked in. I saw him hide his smile when he was in the cool down room. But Oscar's very happy that Lando had a bit of trouble, obviously, because he's chasing that world championship. What I like about Oscar is that he's just kind of chilled out. He's just, yeah, mate, no, I'll just go and win the world championship. Yeah, it's nice. You know, he's very casual about it. I like that. Lando, you can see he's visibly stressed about this. It's intense because he came so close. Well, I didn't come so close, but he was second last year, and this could be his year, but it might slip away from him again.
This should be his year. You know, if everything about, you know, being, what is it, 6 years he's been in that car now since he took over from Alonso, this should be his year, and that's the frustration. So right from the start of the season, he was always the number one driver, and Piastri is still the learner in his third year. But Piastri has driven ice cool. He's not made any mistakes. You know, the only mistake you could say was when he went off in Melbourne due to the weather, the rain coming in. But I think any drive, he probably drove it better than anybody else could have done under those circumstances. We don't know. But the problem is, Lando in Canada, I mentioned it earlier, went for a gap that wasn't there, lost 10 points. Lando couldn't help the failure, and this could happen to Oscar. I believe luck pans out across a season, but now we've basically got to see two faults on the Piastri side of the garage to balance it out. And it might happen, it might not happen, but luck, it happens to both. I'm sure if we look through Lando stuff, he's had some luck. You know, Piastri could have driven into the back of Lando in Hungary when he locked up on the penultimate lap, but lucked in, he didn't, you know. So will Lando have another chance this season? Like this? Maybe not. We just don't know what the regulations are going to bring and who else is going to be competitive. But he's still a great driver, and for me right now, McLaren have two number one drivers opposed to Cadillac next season. But we want to see it on the track. We don't want to see, you know, mechanical failures. But anything can happen, and we've got some races coming up that can be chaotic, like Azerbaijan and Singapore, you know, and Vegas as well. Lots and lots can happen, but Lando now has got to drive faultlessly, as Piastri has done all season so far.
Well, and those races coming up, you know, they're all around the world. We've got Italy next, then Azerbaijan, Singapore, kind of immediately before we get into the US and South America, then the Gulf. One person we know who is going to be going to all these races is a lad called Brendan. No, I think I have to get this right. Brandon Burgess.
That's it.
And he was on BBC News recently. He's a British fan. He's 29, and he's setting off on his epic journey of 5 continents, 21 countries. He set off in March, and basically he's been going backwards and forwards, working, still having his day job, and then on the weekend he's been flying around the world to F1, which is a dream for most people. So he's trying to do 24 F1 races on £20,000 and 28 days of leave from work. It's a challenge that he's set himself. He's kind of halfway, and you know, I think he's actually doing it so far. He's got to meet Valtteri Bottas as well, and actually I could maybe just show the picture here on the podcast. There's a picture of him and Valtteri Bottas. So we've all 3 of us have met Valtteri. That's great. And Valtteri is a lovely guy. But he says it's going to be very tight. But the big ones, I mean, he's going to be traveling Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, Abu Dhabi. He's got Qatar as well. You know, he's managed to work from home a little bit, but also he's had a bit of luck. And you know the Aston Martin team pretty well, as do I, Mikey, and you know Andy Stevenson. So Aston Martin heard about his travels and actually invited him down to the garage, and he got to see it a bit close up. So good on him. Well, we always say go and watch a race. He's doing all 24, Darren.
Well, Joe, he's living my dream. And just before we did this podcast, I said to you that back in 2002, I made a pact with my mate Steve Frost from Melbourne. We were down in Melbourne at the race, and I said, mate, one day we are going to do every race. That's our plan. And here we are, mate, 23 years later, talking about this chap in his 20s who's doing it. that's when I should have done it. Was then, but Steve had kids, 2 girls at home. I've now got 3 kids still that are
But
still
you've
living at
done
home.
plenty of tracks, though, Darren. You've
Well,
been to. I
mate,
mean, we've
I
both been to plenty. I mean, are there any standouts that you haven't been to?
Oh, listen, mate. Every single one of them, mate, that I haven't been to. Japan for me is a definite standout. I
Uh,
nearly got to go there when I was working over there, but it was just impossible for the schedule for me to stop on the bullet train halfway
yeah.
between Tokyo and Osaka.
Saudi,
Uh,
Qatar.
yeah,
You haven't done?
I've only done Abu Dhabi as a Middle East race.
Yeah, I've done
But
Qatar. It's
uh,
good. It's very
and
similar.
I
Bahrain.
remember you
That's good.
FaceTiming me, mate, from all of them, Joe. So
All of
between
these.
between
Yeah.
the two of us, we've done
You've done
amazingly
Australia.
well.
You've done
And
Melbourne.
yeah, mate.
What's left?
I've walked the track in Singapore. I've walked the track in Canada, but not seen races there. And I've walked
Yeah.
the track in Vegas a
I did
million.
Montreal. Yeah.
So, mate,
So Vegas, Miami,
Miami.
Montreal.
I've walked around Miami before it was a race circuit
Doesn't
because we had a
count. Come on.
hotel really near there.
No, but to
It's-
go to
but
hold on
to
to go
the
to
act-
races,
to
you need to go to Vegas, Miami, Montreal. Did you see a race in Brazil?
No. So again, I got to drive the track, but it wasn't race weekend. So
Okay.
yeah, there's 2 levels here. It's visit every racetrack at some point, and then see a race at
Race
every one.
weekend.
And I've been trying to
Hmm.
tick them off, Joe, whether it's through as a fan paying for it or whether I've managed to get work. Now, Brandon, mate, you should just get a job in Formula One, mate. This would solve all
Yeah.
your problems, wouldn't it? But
It
the
was some
thing is,
problems.
yeah, the trouble is when you're there, you're stressed and you're trying to do your job. Sometimes you can't necessarily take in all the enjoyment as a
No.
fan. So you're doing it in an enjoyable way rather than a stressful way. So good on you, buddy. 20
Good on you.
grand. 20 grand is pretty tight, I think, but if you can make it happen, I loved the fact that he got his girlfriend to pay half the hotel bill, Joe, to keep him within budget. Well
That's
done,
love.
mate. That's amazing. I
Good
wish
strategy.
I wish I'd have thought of that when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
But he's living my dream. I'm living my dream, I suppose, as well. I'm just spreading it out across 25 years so far, ticking
That's
off
the
those.
best way, because if you
Mate.
do it all in 1 year, then that's it. You won't go to another one because I've done it now.
Done it, mate.
So
But it's
I
an
like
amazing challenge. I'd love to actually speak to him about it and hear about what he thinks of. It's not just about what you watch on track. It's experiencing what goes on around the Grand Prix, all the different fan zones, just doing the travelling in and out of the track is just so brilliant. And every day it's so exciting to go in and just all those journeys that you go on. The racing is just part of it. And I'd
It
love to
is.
hear some of his stories. He'll probably write a book about it at the end. He's documenting it all on Instagram. I think you're an absolute legend, mate, and well done. And Brandon, brilliant.
Congratulations, Brandon. And it's a good time to sign off from us for this time. The next race will be Monza and then Azerbaijan, Singapore. We'll catch up next month with our roundup and we'll do a bit of a track analysis as well. Big shout out to Dave Burrells, who's a long time listener and fan, and I had a little chat with him yesterday, and we promise we'll bring back some of that race analysis whenever we kick off our episode. But until then, it's bye from me, Jolie.
And it's goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.
Take care.